Welcome to this lecture on animal behavior. Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating leaps in evolutionary history, the concept of society. Have you ever wondered why some animals choose to live in massive, coordinated groups while others wander alone? We will uncover the biological and mathematical reasons behind why animals cooperate, share risks, and build complex communities to survive. Let us begin our exploration by thinking about a familiar human example. To understand why animals form societies, imagine you are trying to build a massive skyscraper all by yourself. It would be completely impossible, right? You would need architects, builders, electricians, and plumbers all working together in a coordinated way to achieve that massive goal. In the animal kingdom, many species face similar monumental challenges. Whether it is taking down a massive prey animal, defending a territory from fierce predators, or building a complex nest, struggling alone is often a recipe for failure. By living together, animals divide the labor, share the risks, and multiply their chances of survival. Now that we see the value of teamwork, we must ask, what exactly makes a group of animals a society? In the scientific study of animal behavior, a society is formally defined as a stable, organized group of individuals belonging to the same species that interact cooperatively with one another. It is crucial to understand that a society is unlike a simple aggregation, which is just a random crowd of animals gathered around a water hole or a light source. A true society involves complex communication, mutual recognition, and sustained social bonds that go far beyond mere mating or territorial disputes. Building on this definition of a true society, let us look at how these groups actually function day to day. One of the defining features of a society is the division of labor. The members of a society often exhibit specialized roles, such as guards, foragers, or caregivers. They work together seamlessly to maintain the overall health and reproductive success of the group. This cooperative interaction is not accidental. It is deeply ingrained in their biology and evolutionary history. By dividing tasks, the group operates much like a well-organized human city or a highly coordinated sports team, ensuring that every essential job is handled efficiently. Understanding these specialized roles leads us to an important question. Why does this matter so much in the natural world? Living in a society provides massive survival advantages that solitary animals simply do not have. For instance, groups benefit from enhanced protection against predators through their many eyes effect. When a group of meerkats lives together, some can stand guard while others dig for food, ensuring the entire group is safe from surprise eagle attacks. Furthermore, societies allow for cooperative hunting, enabling predators like wolves to take down prey much larger than themselves. Without these societies, their individual chances of starvation or predation would skyrocket. These survival advantages sound great, but evolution acts like a strict accountant, constantly weighing the costs and benefits of every behavior. This brings us to the mathematical foundation of behavioral ecology. For an animal to join a society, the net profit of group living must strictly outweigh the net profit of living alone. In this formula, B group represents the total biological benefits an animal receives in a society, like increased food. C group represents the costs, such as competition for food or disease. On the right side, B solitary and C solitary represent the respective benefits and costs of living completely alone. If the costs of the group increase too much, perhaps due to extreme overcrowding, the inequality flips and the animals will naturally disperse to live solitary lives. Now that we have this formula, let us see this with a concrete example involving wild dogs deciding whether to hunt alone or form a pack. First, we look at the solitary dog. It captures enough prey to gain 10 units of energy, but expends 6 units in the exhausting chase. Subtracting the cost from the benefit, the solitary dog earns a net profit of 4 units. This is enough to survive, but leaves little extra energy. Alternatively, if the dog joins a pack, its share of the food provides 25 units of energy, while the energy spent coordinating is 8 units. Subtracting 8 from 25 gives a net profit of 17 units. Comparing the two, 17 is much greater than 4. This physical interpretation explains exactly why these wild dogs have evolved to live in highly cooperative societies. So, we have proven that cooperative hunting yields a higher energy return. This brings us to an even more fascinating scenario. Sometimes, animals in a society do not just cooperate, they completely sacrifice their own reproduction to help others. A classic example is seen in worker honeybees. These bees give up the chance to have their own offspring, dedicating their entire lives to serving the queen and the hive. To a casual observer, this extreme form of society might seem to contradict the rules of evolution, which usually favor individual reproduction. However, as we will see, this ultimate sacrifice is actually driven by a deep, unbreakable mathematical logic based on helping close relatives survive. To understand this extreme social sacrifice, we use a famous equation known as Hamilton's rule. Conceptually, this rule explains that an animal will help another if the genetic payoff of helping is greater than the cost of not reproducing. In this formula, R is the genetic relatedness between the helper and the receiver. It tells us how many genes they share. B is the reproductive benefit to the receiver, meaning how many extra offspring they can produce thanks to the help. Finally, C is the reproductive cost to the helper, which is the number of offspring the helper gives up. If the relatedness multiplied by the benefit is strictly greater than the cost, evolution will favor this altruistic behavior, and a highly cohesive society will form. Now that we understand Hamilton's rule, let us apply it to our worker bee. We are given that the worker bee gives up producing her own one offspring, so the cost, C, is 1. By helping, she allows her queen mother to produce 3 extra sisters, so the benefit, B, is 3. In bees, sisters share a unique genetic relatedness, R, of 0.75. We multiply the relatedness of 0.75 by the benefit of 3, which gives us a total genetic payoff of 2.25. We then compare this to the cost of 1. Since 2.25 is strictly greater than 1, Hamilton's rule is satisfied. This means the worker bee actually passes on more of her own genes by helping her mother than she would by starting her own tiny nest. Having calculated the payoffs of group living, let us visualize how these dynamics play out on a larger scale. Here, you are looking at a graph that plots the per capita payoff against the group size. Notice the green curve representing the benefits. It rises quickly as animals form a group, but eventually levels off. Meanwhile, the red line representing the costs rises steadily as the group gets larger due to increased competition and disease. The blue dashed curve is the most important part. It shows the net payoff, which is the difference between benefits and costs. The peak of this blue curve indicates the optimal group size. If the group grows beyond this dotted line, the costs start to outweigh the benefits, and the net payoff drops, teaching us that societies must maintain a delicate balance to thrive. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us review the key takeaways. First, we learned that animal societies are not just random crowds. They are stable, cooperative groups that rely on a division of labor to survive. Second, we saw that group living provides massive advantages, like the many eyes effect and cooperative hunting, which solitary animals lack. Third, we used mathematical inequalities to prove that evolution only favors societies when the net benefits strictly outweigh the costs. Finally, we explored Hamilton's rule, which beautifully explains how extreme altruism and sacrifice are driven by the mathematics of genetic relatedness. You now have a solid understanding of the evolutionary and mathematical foundations of animal societies.